At Focus on Liberia, we discuss everything Liberia, from education to politics, arts and culture, entertainment, agriculture, history, religion, family, and technology. Focus on Liberia uncovers and showcases the best of Liberia and shows the world the truth about Liberia. We educate, elevate, and promote all things Liberia. We conduct interviews, panel discussions, debates, and more. Tune in to Focus on Liberia on Facebook and YouTube and be a part of the stories that make up the news.
This is Focus on Liberia, and I am Dennis Jha.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to yet another edition of Friday Night Debate on Focus on Liberia. My name is Dennis Jha, and we are broadcasting from Atlanta, Georgia. So far, based on what President Joseph Newman Boakai has done, what can we say? Will he be better than President Weah? Will he be worse than President Weah? Or will it be just same old, same old? Better still, is it too soon to tell? With me to debate this, I have from G-Talk, Glendy.
Hi, Dennis. Hello, everybody. It's good to be here.
Great. Let me welcome Mr. Jimmy Eastman, who's going to also add his voice on Weah.
It's glad to be here, Dennis. Thank you.
Great. Also, let me welcome Mr. Abu.
Thank you, Dennis. It's a pleasure to be here.
Great, Abu Duklin. How is Canada? He's the only person joining us from that part of the world. Welcome, sir.
We're buried under the snow.
Wow. Better you than me.
Let me welcome Mr. J. Victor Nabwi. Mr. Nabwi, welcome.
Hey, it's good to be here, and certainly I'm glad I'm not buried under the snow. I feel for my brother out there in Canada, but it's good to be here.
Great. Let me also welcome Father Elijah B. Washington. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Dennis. It's a privilege to be here to share the platform with these beautiful sons and daughters of our country.
Someone who has really been relentless in talking for Mr. Boakai is Aliyu Samba Kamara. He still calls himself strong Boakai supporter. Welcome, Aliyu.
Leche.
Also, let me welcome our colleague, is FOL political analyst, alum of Waplo Institute, all the way from Kalipo, Kanweke. Welcome, Mr. Sharif.
Dennis, it's good to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. Jimmy didn't see you before, so I say welcome, Mr. Eastman from the nation's capital. We want to welcome all our viewers from across the globe. This is Friday Night Debate, and we want to debate the issues. One of the issues, or the issues we're going to be debating tonight, starting with, is based on what President Boakai has done so far. How is he doing? Will he be better off? Will he be worse than, or will he be the same as President Weah? Better still, we don't want to push you too hard. So is it too soon to tell? Well, we're going to be looking at things like he has done a lot of appointments now. So if you look at the appointments and we want to be rating him on those, the kind of people that he's bringing in his government to implement the rescue mission. It's a merit-based system. It's a diversify and everything in there. So we'll look at that. Are we hearing from the president? Is he transparent? Is the communication from the president's office we getting what is going on, or is it the president cut off speech from us? We're going to be looking at that also. The president in charge, is he showing leadership, or do we have others calling the shots for him? Is he taking constructive criticism without sending PRO or people to your house at night? How is he doing? We're going to read that. And President Boakai also, he has declared his assets. He has submitted himself for drug screening. And he has done other things. Based on those things, we want to evaluate with concrete examples. You know, my biology teacher used to say, vividly discuss with diagrams. So let's go around the room. How is President Boakai doing? Let me start, and your introduction should be as brief as possible. Just give me your opinion on how is he doing. better, worse, same as, or too soon to tell? Mr. Nabe, let me start with you.
Yeah, I think he's gonna do better than the immediate past government. But again, if you're putting in your A team, you don't compare it to the B team. You compare it to other A teams from other leagues. So if we're gonna do that, then we have to yet wait and see how they do. But so far, relative to the immediate past government, I'm inclined to say I think they will do better.
Based on what?
Well, first of all, it took us, I don't know, over 6 months to see the PADP rollout. Today, I saw the 100-day deliverables, which are, according to the write-up, they expect to extend into a national agenda. I think that was pretty encouraging. And quite frankly, I thought it was a little bit overly ambitious. But if we are to go by that alone, I'm encouraged by that. I think there is a very good roadmap that they're rolling out on how they intend to address, I think, about 12 objectives or so.
Thank you. And if you are watching us, you are out there, please go along. Will Joseph Newman Boakai be, when we are talking about his administration now, not the individual. So anytime I use Joseph Newman Boakai, I'm talking about the administration. Will he be better than President Weah? Worse, same or still too soon to tell? Aliu.
Yeah, thanks again for having me, Dennis. For the benefit of the conversation, yes, I would say yeah. But the reality is we're comparing apples and oranges here. To put Joseph Boakai's led administration and the same board of comparison with George Weah, I think that's an underestimation. But Joseph Boakai, to answer your question, he's going to exceed expectation.
Thank you. Father Washington.
I think it's pretty fair for me now. I don't see anything that shows that it's going to be better. So I would say it's okay. And I'm saying okay based on the appointments that you have made. But what is not going well with me is the confirmation. I just think it's just like what I would call what we in philosophy we used to call common consent, and following like you okay that this guy's my man, so when he comes there for confirmation, please don't be too hard on him because I want to make sure that he goes through. So it's become a more common consent thing. So I don't see a lot of what I expected from the Senate to do to be able to screen these political figures. So that's where my disappointment also comes in. So for me, I would say relatively fair for now.
So you say will he be the same as we are, better or worse?
He wouldn't be worse. Is he going to be better? Stay soon to say, because that's
too soon to tell. Let me go to Mr. Abu Boakai Dukley. Mr. Dukley.
Well, I think it's a mixed bag for me. There are some elements that are promising. There are some that are not as promising as expected. But I think I'm willing to hold off yet and see in the next 30 to 60 days. Then I'll be able to tell whether it's going to be better or worse. So for now, I reserve my judgment.
So right now, it's too soon to tell.
That's right.
Jimmy.
Yeah. From my observation, he's been a little more responsive. I saw him identifying with the burned people at the hospital when they had that gasoline tanker exposed. And I noticed he's when we hear things like this asset declaration became an issue of discussion. Next thing we know, he had declared his. He's appearing to be very responsive. Now, as for his appointments, so far I've basically seen loyalists and supporters. I will really know how better he will be when he actually employs experts not based on party loyalty or affiliation during the elections.
So, Jimmy, this question is on the screen. Will Boakai be better than, worse than, same as, or too soon to tell?
I would say it's a little soon to tell.
Thank you. Glendy.
I think it's going to be better.
Why?
Well, I think one of the things we can look at how they've already started proceeding. There are things that first of all, we now have a presidential secretary who today, for the first time, they're working from the executive mansion. She did a press briefing today, and it's something that she has promised. She did one last week. She did one today. She's going to do one next week. It's something that we hadn't seen. We also are privy to first-hand information, whether correct or whether there are mistakes being made with the information that is being shared. There is an opportunity for the public to get some information. Most of the things they'll post on the Facebook, e-mansion Facebook page. I also think we also, as the Liberian populace, we are having an opportunity in their initial stages to make comments and to see that in my opinion, I see that they're hearing and they're making adjustments as they go. You can look at the different changes they've made in nominations as to relates to how they publicized it. They made mistake before. There was some news that came publicly, and then later on they withdrew it and corrected it. So I think there's an opportunity for growth. I think they will do better because in the initial stages, I think they're listening. I don't think President Boakai is hitting. I think we've seen him. We even were able to see his wife this week out there. So I think they're making progress. It's not perfect. There are some mistakes already, but I anticipate that they will do good.
Thank you. Mr. Sharif.
Yes. Thank you, Dennis. I think Mr. Boakai is a very serious man. He's more serious than George Weah will be. And I think he will hold the office of the presidency with the respect and dignity that our office deserves. That said, I have concerns. I have concerns about some of the appointments. When you double down on Sarah Besler-Nyanti, people like that, who has a very thin knowledge of foreign policy, that is an issue for me. And miss clouds and questions surrounding that candidate credentials, and you double down on that. That is a problem. And Father Washington is correct. Some of the hearings have been circuses. We've seen circus. I thought, in the United States, circus was over, but you can find one in Liberia right now. So I have concerns there. I have concerns when you bring back Grisby, the old guys, like a still policy. Like you're not moving on. These people, some of these people are from the 60s, it looks like. So you need to make sure that you're vibrant, that your administration is fresh, and you're starting from a place of strength. So I have not seen that yet. I am concerned. I am also concerned that some of the leaders of the other opposition parties are not in the government. Dr. Yan, Larry Toba, and others, people from ACO are not in position yet. Other political parties are not. Other close confidants of the Unity Party are not. The chairman of the Unity Party, Reverend Topper, has to carry out a protest at the president's home the other time. The president has still not listened to him. So if the president or anyone associated with the president is watching, you need to do something immediately. These are things that fracture your political opportunity for the future. So right now, for me, it is a mixed bag. It is a concern for me, and the trajectory for me, it's trending downwards.
So to conclude, will he be better, worse than, same as, or too soon?
It is too early to tell, but the trajectory is trending downwards, and that's not a good thing.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you are just joining us, this is Friday Night Debate, and now we are ready to go into it. We're going to take it apart piece by piece and see where or how he's going to be better, worse, or same as President George Weah. Let's start with the appointments. All right. And by law, they say you should try the best you can to have balanced cabinet, for instance, that it reflects geography and the county, the political subdivision. In that regards, and Mr. Boakai actually made a promise that he was going to get one person from each county as the cabinet, in his cabinet. Weah was heavily criticized for having a southeastern dominated cabinet, meaning people from 5 counties. When it comes to that, around that, has President Boakai done better than Weah in his first 3 or 4 in his first appointments? Aliu.
But yeah, Dennis, President Boakai has done by far better than Judge Weah. Let me just give you an example here with concerning what you just talked about, Dennis. Okay, so if President Boakai was to appoint me now, which county would you tie me to?
Right now, we don't know people counties. We knew Tua County. We knew all the we knew their counties.
You see, so
Why
I
are we
may be
confused now?
I may be Mandingo, but I was born in Margibi. So just because my name is Aliyu Kamar, he appoints me, you say, oh, he took somebody from Lofa or the northern region.
No,
Okay,
what I mean, let's use the Weah time, right? There was no ambiguity when it comes to where Funati Kofa came from, Tua came from, Eugene Nabu came from, Sam Wulu came from, and so on and so forth. Mary Brock came from. You know, so why are we
that's what that's the point. And that's the point I'm trying to make to you. The point I'm trying to make to you is it's easy to identify a southeasterner than it is to identify someone from the north, the central part, and western part. But just to beat that argument, look at the appointment that Joseph Boakai have made. A lot of them from the central region, from Nimba County, and from the western region, and from Lofa County. And some of those people we talk about from the southeast, they work. Remember now, we have over 5,000 people that's supposed to be hired over, at least 500 higher ups. So the list is still going on. So the southeast should not worry. People are still trying to compare and contrast. George Weah from Joseph Boakai, but I am saying it's apples and oranges. By even the way that Joseph Boakai is structuring his government, you see leadership, you see maturity, you see competence, you see qualification. So Joseph Boakai is doing by far better than George Weah in terms of the appointment. I can name 5 or 6 people over there who have names similar to mine from the western, central, or northern region that are not from there. Like, for example, Mohammed Sharif sitting right here, right now. If you are appointing somebody with conclusions from the northern region, no, this man's a ground genius.
Thank you, Jimmy. And looking at the appointment, let's look at competence, like look at qualification, regional balance, as we said, merit base. Because President Chairman Tapper has introduced something new, the political poo-poo water. You have to bid in to be qualified.
Yeah. Well, I look at his agenda, is the arrest agenda, and I look at his appointment, who he appoints to carry out that agenda, what he has for agriculture, what he has for the gender ministry or the business area education. That's what I'm going to look at and to see how they perform, to see if he will be any better. And so far, what I've seen, I haven't seen any specialists in these areas that have been appointed yet, unless they perform. But none of them to me have been known for their specialties in this area. For instance, the foreign minister, though she has a wealth of experience in international organizations, food programs, relief programs, that doesn't reflect her experience in bilateral negotiations, country to country interacting and bringing forth various accords. That's a whole area she's not used to. So I do not see the expertise yet. I think they have some ground to make up, and I'm not going to judge them as early as possible. But to me, it's just been a loyalist thing. Whoever was loyal got jobs right now.
Wendy, competence, loyalist, regional balance. merit-based system, and everything in between. How is President Boakai compared to President Weah?
So, in all fairness, I don't think I remembered what President Weah did in the first 2 or 3 weeks. I don't remember who he appointed. It would be fair to be balanced to know who he appointed. If we had records of that, then we can be able to compare it adequately. But I also want to say that there's been a lot of concern with people out there saying that I think Amara Connor did and Senator Connor did a statistical graph or something where he looked at names of people and it looked like the percentage of the people appointed now are from Lofa County. I will say it's a little too early right now to tell, but from what we see, we do see that there may be from there, I think there are 55 or now they added more this week. From what we see, there may be more people. I will not say that it's balanced when it comes to loyalists, because I think the loyalists are finally falling in line. He's finally appointing those people that we're supporting. So I don't know how balanced that can be. With there's more left for us to see. It's less than 200 people that have been appointed.
Right.
So I don't think we can give a fair assessment of what we've seen so far.
So let's do a fair assessment on the cabinet, right? So cabinet is not early, it's not too soon. According to what you quoted from Amara Connor, Senator Connor, you have 18 ministers. Out of the 18, 15 have been appointed already. 5 of those are from Nimba, from Lofa, 4 from Nimba, 4 from Bong. So far, the entire southeastern counties of 5 counties, you have 1 person, Grace Bay, from Sino County. So what President Boakai promised of having 1 person from each county in his cabinet will not happen.
So I don't know. Well, we can say that it probably won't happen based on the number of cabinets we have. So
you said probably. It's not going to happen.
We can say that it's not going to happen in the top position in the ministerial, like the minister, but it may happen in the other. And I can say that, to be fair, what he has promised for that part, he has not met that.
Mr. Sharif, let's look at the appointment into not just on the basis of which county, but competence and everything else. And you see, Mr. Sharif, would those days come where people sitting down somewhere, like you, like me, not part of the group, and they say, well, we watch this person, they can do X, Y, Z. Is that, we didn't really see that with Weah. So far, we've not seen that with President Boakai as well. How is he doing in this area?
We've not seen that with President Boakai, and I don't think that we're going to see that, because here in the diaspora, I've talked about colleagues on this show on FOL. Maybe I'm biased, but I see some very, very good people, some sound minds. If they don't mind, call a couple of names. I've talked about Call who worked in government before, and she has experience, and she can bring a lot to the table. Agnes Shalif and so on and so forth. I mean, people here tonight. I mean, so there is a long list of individuals that they can look across. Just like the Torberts and probably those to some extent you should do, where they'll pluck someone out of nowhere. Who, because of their their skill and talent, they've heard them somewhere, they've seen them demonstrate certain things, and they plug them and they go out and fish for those kind of people and put them in government so that they can help their country, so that you can grow those individuals to become the next leaders of their country. But you don't see that. You didn't see that with George Weah, and you're not seeing that right now. Heck, people who are a young man, George Lobo. We haven't seen where even Lobo is. I mean, guys like that, you want to bring them up. You want to make sure that you're training the next leaders. I'm not a big fan of a large public sector, but at the same time, you need to make sure that you're looking around. You don't go out and plug a Grisby from the 60s. This is a stale policy, just perpetuating the same old boys network, and you're leaving out vibrancy. You don't do that. You don't begin your administration this way, and you don't promise the Liberian people that you're going to pick one from each county, and now one region is predominant. And meanwhile, the narrative is that you are against this other part of the country, and then you perpetuate this narrative by not even picking their prominent sons and daughters, and you double down on individuals who have very thin knowledge of the policy issues. I listened to the foreign minister designate and the foreign minister now, who was easily confirmed by the dominant male Senate that was doing the hearing that day. So I listened to her. She has no knowledge of Liberian foreign policy. So where do you get these people from? There are a whole lot of people out there who you can appoint as foreign minister. There's a whole lot of people out there who you can appoint as minister of state for presidential affairs. Get rid of this minister of state without portfolio. Do something else, and bring vibrancy to your cabinet. Bring something purposeful to your first cabinet, because first impression for me is everything. And I'm not seeing that right now, and that is a problem for me. So that's where the structure is going down.
I like to interject for a second. Dennis.
Hold on.
I just want to ask Mr. Sharif, can you, instead of saying old, can we say elderly?
I didn't say, I said old policy. Still.
Old people. No, you said old people. So let's say elderly, because I think that's ageism, and that's not fair to them.
If I said I misspoke, my apology, but I did say, I think I remember saying stilled policy, the same old boys. I said old boys network. Old boys network is something, it's a phraseology, something that's widely used. If I belong to something, you can call it, Sharif is part of the old boys network. That's not offensive.
This is, let me come in 1 second.
I'll leave quickly.
Yeah, I'm too much contradiction here. They say loyalty, they're not only bringing people that are loyal. Gillespie supported Cummings. Gillespie is in there. And they say only the loyal people they put in there. But at the same time, they're telling us here that what the board name of Preston Lobo, they're looking for a place to put him, as loyal as he was, or he is. And just recently, a lot of the other people were making noise. They see, man, Sherry telling me that the party chairman were making noise this few days for a job. But at the same time, they say they're only hiring loyal people. Where are we?
Thank you.
What I just said, you just answered my question. The Reverend Luther Topic, as far as I know, is from Sino County. What is wrong with that region that that now that they're only saying that you've appointed 1 or 2 people from that entire region? If you don't believe me, ask Minister Amara Kone. That's my source. And he is very, very good when it comes to these kinds of analysis. So I depend on his knowledge for this. But it is not a fair way to start off your administration.
Thank you. Let me go to Mr. Nabi.
Well, yeah. First of all, let's establish these are appointments. They're not elections. These people are appointed based on the comfort level of the president. Right? They're appointed to serve at the will and pleasure of the president. He reserves the right to appoint whoever he wants to appoint. I think our quest for political or geographic or gender balance is not political. It's not a constitutional requirement. We pay attention to.
Hold on, Victor. There's an executive law say, as much as possible, you should have that balance.
It's as much as possible.
Which balance? Gender balance, correct?
No, not gender. From the geography, from the various counties, the various political divisions.
Okay.
But it's not spelled out say you must do this.
Yeah, it encourages it.
You're right.
So granted, and I think our vision of a government is probably is informed by the immediate past government, where one person was serving in a position like forever. Let's not forget that these people are appointed and they're reshuffles that are coming along the way, and I think Based on the performance, I think they will be moved around. But I like to confirm what Jimmy said, and I think Glenn said part of it too. I think the president is proving to be a little bit more responsive, which we really didn't see in the last government. The whole asset declaration, we rave against them on the network here, and I think they're getting onto it. Even the appointments that are from calls that we're getting, the reason why we understand they're rolling the appointment out in fits and starts is only because they're trying to build consensus, which we didn't see in the past government. These are some of the things that are giving us hope. So yes, some of the appointees are not the most satisfactory, but notwithstanding, I don't think, most of the people who are being brought back in government are people who really have done exceptionally well in their previous positions. Gregory Coleman, he was the police, I think the IG on Mrs. Sirleaf, and he received, written reviews that when he was at the police. A.B. Kroma, I believe, and there's several other people, even Grisby. Grisby's tenure at the foreign ministry, he did exceptionally well. So, could he have done better? Absolutely. But is he doing worse than he should have done? I don't think so yet. So, although I think he will do better, I like to agree with those who say these are early days. I think it's a little bit too early yet. But notwithstanding, I think the start is not as bad as the previous start. And for that, I think it is hopeful that they're going to do better.
One of the things that Weah was criticized for is a bloated government, where he brought people in, a lot of people. Father Washington, are we seeing that with President Boakai yet? And let's look at a ministry like, and I'm not too sure about the presidential affairs, but it looks like it's getting bigger than we've known it.
Yeah, from the appointments, you can already see that Minister of State already start getting more people. But this is the point. I think we stay at the time where I'll call this time a dating period. You be a woman you're dating, so when she comes to visit you hire a car for her. She goes home.
It doesn't have to be a woman, also men.
Well, I'm speaking from my background, so I wouldn't be.
Thank you.
So we stay at the time of we stay in the dating period. So yeah, people want to showcase and want to look, everything looks beautiful. I see people talk about the whole thing about he's responsive. Well, yeah, he's responsive, but hey, I explained to the president to go ahead. You already declare your assets. Publish it. The law does not say, but publish it. That's like nothing too hard. Let's already start looking. Let's see what is already there before we wait for you after you leave power. Before we start checking, maybe you might not even be there. Let's know what is there. Show us. There's nothing too hard. Then I see this whole thing about who the president when they took a drug test. Who did he bring to do the drug test for him? Like me going to my office tomorrow, I'm going to get a new job, and I'm the same one who's going to call the doctor, and I'm supposed to do the drug test for me and say, hey, I'm coming there. Come on, we don't do drug tests like that. We got to bring your own minister to come do the drug test for you. If you are going to fill the drug test, when they're going to tell us that he has filled the drug test, they're not going to tell us. They were just going to do the things they got to do so they can show us so that people can see these things happen. For me, I think there's this whole, what I call the political psychology of our country, that no matter who comes there, people just do the same things that they always did. So what I see happening now is like, okay, they give a great impression that things are going to change. But when we get there, they will do what they want to do. When I was even listening to the senator hearings, all these senators will be asking these questions, and all these nominees to say, oh yes, I will do this. Yeah, I promise to do this. I promise to do. Don't listen to that. After they leave from there, the next day they do something else. And, that's what politicians do. They tell you something so that you hear them, but they don't change. So for me, it's early days, but when I look at even the cabinet that he is appointed, but I see a lot of excellent people. Like some of my friends have said, there are a lot of excellent people there. But with this thing going, we're not going to see administrative corruption again. People kind of using their influence to be able to change things where they are. That's already I saw in that. I thought I saw in the Senate already. People that bullying the friends saying, you do this for me because I know this person. So let's confirm this person. So when the person gets there, there's something that we get back. So.
Well, I think this though, to Father's point, Dennis. Look, leadership by example, modeling. All right, these are all symbolism. These are all symbols. Yeah. For instance, the president of the United States will get up and drive an electric car. You
All
think
right.
he's a no,
Yeah.
but he is modeling that and encouraging people to get away from carbon, carbon, driving gasoline, gas guzzling, and that kind of thing. And so when the president goes to take a drug test, yes, what does it contribute to the drug problem? At least, I honestly, I have felt that it doesn't really mean much, but it's a symbolic gesture.
Thank you.
It's a symbolic gesture, yeah, to encourage the young people to leave drugs alone. I think that's the message that's been driven. Now, as to how much this is going to help in removing the drugs from the street, that is what AB Kurma is yet to figure out. But I think these are all like the asset declaration. The reason why some of us were disheartened that it took so long was because he was modeling again the wrong message. As a leader, you should always take the lead and go and follow the rule. We thought that he was bending the rule because the law clearly stated that it had to be done before taking office. So
Do you think you should publish it?
I think it should be published. I mean, we need to have evidence that he's done so. And I'm not really exactly convinced yet, but until I read about it and see it somewhere else.
Thank you.
No, but the point I'm making is it is a symbolic gesture which is very necessary.
Yeah, Victor, I got that point. Let me go to Mr. Dukley.
Usually the first cabinet is usually the reflection of the forces that the standard bearer is beholden to, and clearly these appointments are a reflection of that. Loyalists who were there to support him, but in my mind, it brought into question so many appointees who are either now being confirmed or they are yet to be confirmed. In particular, is the Minister of Foreign Affairs, as well as Minister of Health.
Confirmed.
Dr. Poto. I said this one time on this platform here. Usually, people have this tendency, of when you hold a master's degree, that means the master's degree entitles you to hold any position. The reason why I pointed out the Minister of Health is the Minister of Health was and shortly thereafter she was brought in, and
I think I missed some words there. Is this me or everybody?
Yeah, I missed it too.
Yeah. Go ahead. Can you repeat that? You were breaking up a little bit.
What's that?
Yeah, go ahead again. You were breaking up a little bit.
Oh, okay. I was just saying that.
What happened to the Minister of Health?
There are some reservation. I was saying some of the questionable appointees that the president has designated or has appointed to cabinet positions. One of the concerns of cabinet members is the Minister of Health, and I was saying just because she's a medical doctor, it doesn't necessarily mean she's qualified to hold that position. So there are a lot of things that the Ministry of Health entails far more than beyond being a doctor. So, but because everybody in his cabinet serves at his pleasure, and we are aware that the president is beholden to many forces within the party and sometimes outside the party. So, and usually the first appointments are usually the reflection of those interests that he's beholden to. So, really, and also we talk about the minister of Foreign Affairs. Again, because she had, I listened to her confirmation, and her presentation was just such a disappointment to the point where I was thinking, who prepared this for this lady? Is this the lady that is going to be the diplomatic face of our country? Just because you're a special representative of the Secretary General in Yemen, and I mean, we are talking about liberal foreign policy here, my people. So, I don't know if I
It's okay.
You know, if I 3 people actually, one is Ibrahim Krumah, because he comes from a solid law enforcement background, and he's been appointed to an agency that is primarily law enforcement, and of course Boima Kamara, simply because he's been he's worked with the central bank before, and he has some working experience. Now, these are the kind of experience that I'm talking about that can reflect on the individual and on the cabinet. So again, when I say it's too soon to tell, these are some of the reasoning that I have, simply because, you know, some of these ministers, trust me, they're not going to go far. But when I say they're not going to go far, I'm simply referring to the task at hand.
Thank you.
Are these people that you always appoint a doctor
Mr.
to be minister of
Mr.
health? Yes.
In small Miami.
Yeah, Mr. Dukla, your internet is kind of glitching. So
Oh
I
my
don't know.
Lord!
Are you calling for Kingsway?
I hope my snow.
All right, but you know, it's become almost like a party in Liberia now, and I've spoken against this. I mean, I've spoken that medical doctors don't make good ministers.
You're breaking out, Dennis.
Yeah, go in and come back out, Mr. Dugley.
Mr.
Okay.
Dukla, your internet is giving problem, so you can maybe use something else. Yes, and when I said that, people laugh at me because doctors are they're trying to treat patients.
Then there's something I'd like to inject here. I don't know where is it coming from. Why is it so important that our country think about ethnic balance, political balance? Why is it important?
Right. Okay. Let me tell you where this came from. Right. We fought war for so many years, and when the war was over, or when they were trying to negotiate peace, people, warring factions were being represented. People were presenting people based. First of all, it was lucrative ministry. What does Ulimbo K have?
No,
what does
I don't think that's.
Give me a minute.
Yeah.
Right. Some of these appointments were based on tribal loyalty. And so most of these things, continue that way. And when President Weah was in power, he was heavily criticized for having Southeastern. They couldn't say crew. They couldn't say Grand Crew. So they combined 5 counties. So President Boakai promised that when he's president, he's going to make sure you got one cabinet from each county. So far, that is through the window.
No, but let me just say something else. I don't think that's where it's from. I think
it's from further back. You're right.
Yeah. I think it's from further back. People get this mentality that, hey, if this person from this country gets there, there's a likelihood that we'll get roles coming to our place. There's a likelihood that cement will reach us. There's a likelihood that the petroleum company will come because he's going to fix the rule, he's going to fix our capital. So therefore, let it come from outside because there's no equitable distribution of the country's wealth. So everybody's looking for somebody that is closest to them to be able to provide that for them. That's where it's from. But if we can have a budget that is equitably distributed, why should it be a problem if we get everybody that runs the government from country or from Grand Crew? So I think that's where it's from.
Well, it's also more than that because the war has exacerbated that. But let me welcome Mr. Jerome Gateman. Mr. Gateman is an unabashed and unapologetic citizen. But Mr. Gateman, for your benefit, we are moving along now to some of the things that the president have done so far. But let me give you the opportunity to respond to this question in 2 minutes. Based on what President Boakai has done so far, will he be better than, worse than, same as, or too soon to tell?
Well, Joseph Boakai would be worse than any president in the history of Liberia. Joseph Boakai came on the mantra of rule of law, a man who would be transparent, a new day in the Republic of Liberia. In fact, he says, you do not take jobs that are intended for men and you give it to boys. When we come in, we are going to come in on the rule of law, transparency, and everything else that he promised. And he went on BBC. On VOA. He said, I, as a president, I have to lead by example. I am going to declare my asset and publish it. And everyone that follows me that I appoint will be men and women of integrity. And they will do the same. Joseph Boakai broke that law. The code of ethics, the code of conduct is very clear. Joseph Boakai lied. And then he said, everybody that I bring along will be men and women of integrity. We are looking at Mr. Yemele, who says, I have killed people, and I'm going to kill Fala Abu when I see him. I will mock him to death. I'm going to buy 25 motorbikes, 333, 75 men. You can give me 100 police officers. I'm going to kill him. I'm going to mock him to death. Joseph Boakai turned around and had appointed this man, had nominated him to be Minister of Internal Affairs. The law says to be Minister of Public Works, you have to have a degree in engineering. He broke that law. He appointed somebody who does not have a degree in engineering. Today we saw he has also appointed somebody at the flight safety or whatever that is. And that person is being wanted in the United States for theft. So what kind of man of integrity is there? Today he took a brown envelope and presented it. He said he has declared his assets in a brown envelope. No pun intended.
Right. I mean, I was confused. Brown envelope means corruption and bribe, but that's not what we're talking about.
So the man who said he was going to publish his asset, everything that this man had promised, he has broken. So how can we expect the executives to be the enforcers of the law to be the breakers of the law? I have never seen anything like this from day one.
Thank you.
Dennis, 1 second.
Yes, sir.
Let's clarify certain things here. When you declare your asset, first of all, the requisite authority have to accept your asset, go through it, approve of it before it is eligible to be published.
That's a lie. Darryl Dillon. Excuse me, Darryl Dillon.
Hold on, Mr. Gaiman. Mr. Gaiman. Hold on.
You're going to push back because Darryl Dillon, you cannot publish this without going through. It is a public notice. He promised he was going to do
But it was their choice. It was their choice. That's not what the law says.
We're talking about what Joseph Boakai promised. Joseph Boakai promised he was going to declare and publish his assets.
That's not what the law says. The law doesn't say that.
Joseph Boakai promised he was going to declare and publish.
The president has done what the law says.
Okay, Mr. Kamara, please continue.
Yes. So again, series of things. My brother Sherry said he believes in Conan. Conan said that there's only one person from the Southeast, which is not true. If you look at the LPRC managing director who was appointed, is also from the Southeast, and we can name you two more of those. So a lot of those things are not true. And when Mr. Gilbert comes into the
cabinet, not cabinet.
But managing directors are part of the cabinet.
No,
Dennis, they are part. But anyway, when Mr. Gilbert comes out here and said the law says, please ask him sometimes to quote this law. The law that said you have to be an engineer to be public works minister. It's just like what you guys were saying. You don't have to be a medical doctor to be the health minister. So, Gilbert, you just come out here and you throw stuff. But let me just say this to you guys. When Joseph Boakai, a lot of times people say Joseph Boakai said he would take each person from each country in the cabinet. I have been looking for that video since yesterday. What I continue to hear Joseph Boakai say is his government would be inclusive of the entire country. That's what I heard Joseph Boakai say. And to implement that promise, that's why he's now trying to change the Ministry of Internal Affairs to the Ministry of Local Government, so as to carry power and the government to each community. Let's get that clear.
Dennis, two names I want to give you, right? Two names I want to give you, Dennis. Jerome has already given you the first one, Yomale, and the president has doubled down on that, so he's keeping that individual. It's supposed to let him cut him loose. It's the other person is Eugene Fagon. Eugene Fagon now is the Director General of LBS. Let that sink in for a minute.
Dennis, can I say something? So I spent the last week reading all of the executive laws, and I would love to share with everybody. There is no requirement for education in any one of those positions. In all of the executive law, what you see there is their function. What are they supposed to do in every single one of those laws? So I think we have to be very cautious when we come here saying that people are not qualified for a position, or we look at somebody based on what we know from Facebook and think that they're not qualified. We have to be cautious because we are governed and we are guarded by the laws of Liberia, and the executive laws have no qualification for any position from what I have. And if you want a copy, I will share it with you.
But Glendy, that just tells you the problem. It tells you what is wrong with Liberia as a nation.
Thank you. That is my point exactly. And we have to know those things. If we have no quality, and I agree with you, because when you're making a health minister who is a doctor, you're taking her away from seeing patients and making her a minister, when you could find somebody who would be in that position and be an administrator, that's better. But our laws does not have anything with qualifications in it. And that is why even Zansan Kawa can run to be president, because it's not there.
And I'm glad that you raised this point, Glendy, simply because, in a conversation I was talking to, I think it was Dennis, I said to him, look, the Republic of Liberia as a nation was built and founded on a faulty foundation. Until such time that we reflect and see how we can fix that foundation, we go nowhere.
And I disagree with you, but
I disagree too.
And that's
I agree with you 100%.
All right. So let's go to what President Boakai has done again. President Boakai, I know most of you mentioned it, has declared his assets. Well, let's establish that. He promised audit in 3 months for the GAC to audit the EPS, the NSA, and the CBL. Mr. Gaiman, we didn't see these things before. He declared his assets, he promised audit, and then there was a lot of things around HPS. Today, we met HPS, and there's we been calling for investment, right, and all this kind of thing. So, in those areas, will you agree then, Mr. Gaiman, that he's faring better than President Weah?
No, not at all, and I will tell you why. First of all, I think when we talk about audit, we have a professional audit group, the GAC, and you know that, and they do annual audit on all these agencies, with the exception that I know of, the EPS and the NSA, but everybody else have been audited, okay, routinely, annually. And you notice that it is factual. Even when John Muller was there, he did it, and he left about 83 audit report with indictment and accusation and everything like that. So every year it is done. That's why the gentleman said, if you want to audit, like the central bank, you want to audit every other agency. They did that last year. He said you want to do it all the way through 2016. They have that already. All they're going to do is compile them and give them to you and say, we did it last year, we did it a year before. So this is nothing new. The only new thing there would be the NSA and the EPS, because the law says that they are exempted. Glendy posted another contradicting law, like Mr. Dukla is saying here. This is what is wrong with our system. If you have a law and you didn't repeal that law and you wrote another law contradicting that law, then you have no law. So if what Glenda posted was right, that the EPS and the NSA can be audited in these United States, those agencies report directly to the Department of Defense. So they are not audited, because they will do their own internal audit, and the auditing goes to the Department of Defense. And the Department of Defense cannot be audited because they have been funded by Congress. Only Congress can set up a committee to delve into what they want to see in each of those, and it's done privately. So this thing about audit that they are talking about, it is nothing but flow show. It is nothing But like the drug thing they were doing, there's no drug policy. There's nothing. Instead, the president shows up. He said you're going to take a drug test, and if vice president shows up, take a drug test. And then the question today at the press briefing was, so why is the policy? Then the press secretary said, we are putting people together to come up with a policy. This is what we call a complete charade. It's a show. It's not a policy. It's a public relations stunt.
Thank you, Jimmy.
Yeah, I don't know. You know, I hear my brother Gaiman. Even the Department of Defense it can be audited. Everybody has to be accountable. You know,
Jimmy, they don't get audited.
No, you can say they don't get audited.
No, listen, I told you they do internal audit because the department.
So let Jimmy go ahead. You know your point.
Yeah, there, especially when it comes to NSA and these clandestine covert operations.
Yeah, covert, not clandestine.
Yeah, okay, covert operations. You will find that they have to have internal auditing because of the sensitivity of their operations. One can understand that, but even them, they are required to do their own self-auditing. What we're looking at, though, what we're trying to see, though, is are we going to have a government of experts, or are we going to have a government of loyalists? I want to, and that is what everybody is looking for, because Liberia requires solutions. Liberia requires, like to say, rescue. It's not going to be a loyalist that will rescue the country. It will be somebody who knows how to fashion a policy, a strategy to extract us from the jaws of poverty that we find ourselves. It's not going to be loyalists. So until you put people who know how to get out of these things, to know how to generate revenue, you know how to create jobs in the private, until you have people like that, we're just going to be much of the same before. Loyalists are not going to do it. It requires a special expertise to do it. And until you have those experts on board, even if you only hire them as consultants, you will not get that result.
So Jimmy, my question is, with the asset declaration, with the audit, and the meeting of HPX, does it show that President Boakai is indeed doing better than President Weah?
Well, I will maintain it's still early to tell. Okay, I think these are good things. I think his positive that he is showing empathy toward victims. It is positive that he's showing responsiveness to sentiments, but we still got way far to go. They're down the road when the rubber meets the road, when they can't find paid salaries, when they're having problem when inflation starts galloping and that people cannot even the US dollar goes to 2,000-3,000. That is when we're going to see the tenacity of the head of state. Right now, it's way too early. We're just beginning. We haven't seen real crisis yet. But they don't give Weah enough credit, his administration. They did go through a crisis. There was a crisis once upon a time, and they managed to weather the storm, but they don't give them credit for it. So we got yet to see.
Mr. Nabi.
Well, I agree with some of the previous speakers, my colleague, who said that so some of the appointments are a bit concerning. For instance, the Minister of Internal Affairs, I really thought his nomination would have been withdrawn. And so some of the appointments really give you cause for concern. But also I also agree that some of the old hands that are coming back, perhaps they could serve in advisorial roles. You know, we know Kissinger and other people are being around, and they've been advising from the background. And so because so much has happened since 5 years ago, you know, the age of technology, some of these people, I'm sure, they would need a little bit of help in, dealing with technology. So that way, I think you could use quite a little bit more of young blood in the government. But again, I maintain that these are appointments, and these people serve at the pleasure of the president. He reserves the right to appoint whomever he wants to appoint. Now, if these people are not delivering, then of course we reserve the right to question their performance.
Victor, I wanted you to comment on the president's latest action. We see the asset declaration, the audit being promised. We also see the presidential press secretary.
Right.
I even posted on my Facebook page when she first delivered that, hey, this is a breath of fresh air. At least we getting these things in these areas, communicated from the president, from the office of the president.
Right. I had said a couple of weeks ago that I felt that the press secretary, for instance, needed to maintain more visibility than she is. I think this is her second since she got in the job, and she's been in the job maybe 2 or 3 weeks now. So yes, I think yeah. So I think the communication, they need to do a better job at that. We know during the week, some of the appointments were announced outside of the chain, president, the governmental chain. Some networks were carrying the announcements, and later on those were pulled, but they came back. Some of those names were confirmed on the official appointment. So I think they're struggling to to get ahead of this. But I would wish that she, if now, every other day, I think she should mount the podium and provide.
But is it better than before?
It is better than before. Absolutely, it is better than before. It is better than before. But I'm, like I'm saying, I don't want to use the immediate past government as a yardstick for this president's performance. I expect him to do better compared to other governments around the region or around the world. For that reason, for instance, the HPS visited the executive mansion. There should be a readout by now, right? Telling us what was discussed, what is it that they're talking about. We reserve the right to know. This is not private information, right? So the president met with these people. Yeah, you should tell us what it is. I don't know if you did so in the press conference. I didn't watch it, but I will hope that those are some of the things we'll gather from this executive mansion.
And Aliu, these are some of the things really I personally want to see change, right? What is HPS doing in the executive mansion? I mean, the last time I saw Buffer Chambers, who was defeated in Plibo, going to give fire truck to the president.
Right.
It is like taking fire truck to the mansion. The other day they took fire equipment.
Ambulance.
Right. The other day they took firefighter equipment. Now HPS going to the executive mansion to do what? Is President Walker, who comes here and meet President Biden because they have a rubber company?
Yeah. But before we get to that point, let's clarify a certain thing for the sake of the audience. All of this discussion about my brother Gilman sometimes needs some clarifications. You just appointed a man at the DEA, a DEA that was totally malfunctional, no leadership, they only had title. This man has not even sat in the office yet to formulate, to strategize, in fact, to assess the gravity of the situation from the technical perspective. And you already asking why policy was not even drafted before the man took office. Now, well, my brother Jimmy said, all of these people are just, there's no expertise. Brisby is an expert. Gary Coleman is an expert. All right, Kroma is an expert.
But let me correct you. That's not what I said. I said no loyalty will help change our station. Our situation will require expertise.
Yeah, I'm giving you the experts. But I'm giving you the experts now because your statement was general.
He said because of loyalty, not expertise. Go ahead.
But if you have somebody who's loyal to you, who is an expert, wouldn't you rather use that person? I mean that is total common sense. And let me just say this: the reason why our Constitution refused to specify credential or CV in the law is because they try to avoid discrimination. They expect you as the employer to use your discretion. What is education under Liberian standard? You have 16 languages. They all have their own different conjugation of the verb. So you can't just come and say, this person has to have master's degree for so and so portfolio. Do we offer master's degree in Pele? So to leave it open and let the discretion be left with the person who does the appointment, he would decide, because the president's agenda is what everybody goes by in the cabinet. And I just want to remind you this. Alhaji Nkrumah and Emmanuel Buyok were the one that put stop to the issue of managing director not being a part of the cabinet. Those two guys broke that bridge. Managing directors go to cabinet meetings. Okay? Now to your question about ambulance and all of this, yeah, I will agree with you. I don't think all kind of like J people from somewhere should just walk to the executive mansion. I don't think President Boakai should be too open. Sometimes people tend to disrespect you when you be like that. I think we have National Investment Commission. I think we have the Minister of Commerce. We have a very sound minister, MBA in the area of business, and he has a proven record at the Minister of Commerce, Amin Modad. I think those are the people that should be dealing with these kinds of people and people responsible for mining if it's a mining business, not the president. So I would recommend that he deal with his deputies and surrogates and other people and not deal with these people directly.
Look, I beg to differ on this view. Look, even here in the United States, yeah, HPS might be a small company, but by Liberia economy, that's a pretty major company. You have people at 4G, and they all visit the executive. They go to the White House. Sure. So these people, they do this, right? When Mrs. Johnson was in office, she went to birthday parties, for Christ's sakes, right? So look, I have been on this government, but I believe they are finding their footing, and I think we should give them the space. I think we're being a little bit too petty here. If the president, all I'm asking for personally, if you invite these people in the mansion is a public house. You should let us know why they're there. But as to who gets invited to the mansion, all of that for me is immaterial. As long as you're finding ways to resolve the problems that our people are dealing with, that should be our concern. You should relieve our people of the plight. I was a little bit disappointed in the rollout today of the 100-day plan. I didn't see communications, which I think that is major. I hope that is buried somewhere in there because I haven't read all of that. So those are things I think we should be concerned with. These people have given us a roadmap that they intend to follow over the next 100 days. Let's talk about that. I think those are the things we should talk about. I think all of this about pointing out that I think we're wasting precious time. I think we've been too petty. Let's move on with this.
Mr. Sharif.
In Kalipo, they will always say Wajo. So, Wajo to, J. Victor. Look, it is important to talk about the personnel and as well as policy, so we can do both things at the same time. So, no, this is not petty.
But I think we do more. We do more one than the other. So we're not doing both.
Excuse me. When you have an internal affairs minister who said he is a murderer, and the executive mansion has not come out to condemn this, to disassociate themselves from this kind of callous statement, this kind of brutal statement, then the integrity of that office is questionable. Then the judgment of the president, I will have to question why the president is sticking with this individual, doubling down on this individual. When you have a foreign minister who does not understand Liberian foreign policy, then I have a question, I have an issue with that. And so this is not about, a woman or man or whatever it is. This is about, and I'm not, and get me right, I'm not even going after the credential. I am saying that your knowledge of foreign policy is very thin. So where does the president get the idea that someone who worked in Yemen, just because you work in Yemen, that you can lead our foreign policy? Look, this woman is number 6 in line to secession. So the foreign minister is a very important position. She is number 6 in line to secession for the presidency under the 1986 Constitution. Okay, that's what we're talking about. And this is the individual that you have as your foreign minister. Of course, at confirmation hearing, some of the guys, Jonathan Sugby especially, said, I had some questions, but because of their performance, I dropped all my questions that I have. So I'm not going to ask you my question. It's a shame that Senator Jonathan Sugby and others will display this kind of carelessness for their job. It is a disgrace that you have senators who have taken their job so unseriously instead of asking the serious question. Even when Senator Cornyn asked the very serious question, some people were saying, "Oh no, because he took some time," and people wanted to move on. When the foreign minister designate was asked about, Sani Koli, what's your thought about Sani Koli? Maybe Sani Koli can be declared a UNESCO historic site. Of course, that area, that city of Sani Koli, historic city of Sani Koli, was a meeting point of Kwame Nkrumah, Sekou Touré of Guinea, and President William V. Tubman. But the foreign minister designate now, our foreign minister, didn't understand that, and instead of saying, Mr. Senator, I'm sorry, Honorable Senator, I will get back to you on this. I need to refresh myself. But she went ahead, tried to answer this question, and did a terrible job. But I can go down the list of individuals who are in this administration. It's like a square peg in a round hole. So we're dealing with a situation here. All we're doing right here is we're telling the driver that you are running out of your lane. So please come back. Please come back in your lane, because we love you, Mr. Boakai. We love you. You're a good man. You have good heart. So all we're doing is our nationalistic duty, our patriotic duty, to criticize when there's a need to criticize. We will commend. We will give commendations and praises and so on and so forth when it's time to do that. But it is not a patriotic duty to say to rubber stamp everything that a president does just for the enticement of probably getting position in government. I care less about what the government thinks of me or what I will get in the future. I don't care about it. I care about the right thing. Let the right thing be done. Your cabinet, you have questionable individuals, and that's what we're talking about.
Thank you.
Dennis, I'd like to follow after that, and I will hope that you will give me 30 seconds for the mere fact that I'm the only woman here. I'm going to
don't even go there. Don't even go there.
I'm speaking to Dennis.
Don't even
I
go
hope
there.
that you will allow me to speak.
Glenda, you have the floor.
Yes, thank you very much. The fact that I'm a woman, I want to come back after Mohammed, because he keeps. I want to ask you. And I'm seeing something completely different from what you saw as it relates to Sarah Beslow Yanti. I want to ask you, when you look at what we had as a foreign minister for 6 years, kindly tell me what's the difference now, and also tell me how is it that you can sit here tonight and be so negative about someone who has not even started their work and it's only been 2 weeks. I want to hear. What do you think we had better of a foreign minister accused of sexual molestation who couldn't go to any foreign country compared to what we have now?
Do you want me to answer?
I do.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So absolutely. And Glenda, I want to thank you for that. It's an excellent question. Every election is about the future. You want to turn the page. So when I sat on this show and in places and in forums and talk and supported Mr. Boakai, especially in the lead up to the election, I did so with the understanding, with the expectation that he's going to turn the page. You need to turn the page. Every election is about the future. You're talking about Maxwell Kemeya, one of the worst foreign ministers in Liberian history, perhaps. And so, you need to move on from individuals like Maxwell Kemeya. But once you move on from Maxwell Kemeya's replacement, who is sixth in line to the presidency, cannot be someone who is not occurring, who is not up to date with Liberian foreign policy. I'm sorry. This is the situation that we have, and as long as we have those situations, it is okay. It is necessary to criticize the holder of the office. She got flowery praises all over the country with all these newspapers. So, which makes me to believe now that these newspaper is a joke. It's a joke. Look
So,
at the
Dennis, I just want to
joke.
stop Mr. Salih Mohammed. I want to stop him because he's not answering my question. My question was specific and it was direct. And based on what he has said, and I want us to move on because based on what he has said, he's clearly contradicting all of these things that he said about Sarah compared to Kimia, because what he's saying is that Kimia is worse because Sarah has no sexual molestation case that's on her. Kimia has that. Sarah is able to travel the world around. Kimia could not. So he's not answering my question, so I would prefer that we move on.
Glendy, I'm sorry, we're mixing apples and oranges. You know,
no, we're really not, because you're coming here and making it seem like this new foreign minister is the worst ever. Because you couldn't answer questions based on how you wanted them answered.
No,
the questions are subjective.
No, Mrs. Beslo Yanti is not accused
by
anybody of any kind of sexual impropriety. That let's leave that for Maxwell, Kimmy, and others.
Let me
we're saying is
hold on, Victor.
What we're saying is the Liberian nation state deserves better. That's what we're saying. When you go to the polls to put in your ballot, to cast your ballot, you are voting for the future. You are voting for change, hopefully. You're not voting for. Don't give me.
You have said that Kimia is worse. Sarah Beslo Yanti is better than Kimia. So in what areas is she not qualified to be foreign minister?
Specifics.
Thank you.
Listen, Sarah Beslo Yanti is not occurrent with Liberian foreign policy. She does not understand Liberian foreign policy. We have a foreign minister who's basically going to learn on the job. Dennis, she's sixth in line to the succession to the presidency. That's what we're talking about.
How did she demonstrate that she doesn't understand foreign policy?
I just gave you an example of where the former minister of finance, now senator for Bapulu County, give a direct question, which was really a question that speaks to how the importance of Liberia. I picked that question because that question is important to the position of Liberia as the central focus of African unity, Liberia as the central focus of African liberation and the prosperity and the dignity of the Black race. So the foreign minister did not make herself available in a way that I think that she should have to deal with these issues. There were other questions. They were few and far between, because look, Dennis, what happened was some of the senators were even sitting there saying, like my senator from Grand Judah County, Zoe Emmanuel Penn, it's a joke. He's saying, okay, and laughing, saying, okay, I don't care what, you have my vote already. I mean, you don't do this. Zoe Penn, please stop doing this.
Thank you. And Glendy, I wanted you to answer the question about
I still haven't gone yet. I don't know why.
Yeah. No, Glendy was only asking question. I am coming to you, Father Washington. But I want Glendy to comment on the asset declaration, the audit, the HPX visit, and other things that the press secretary or hearing from the presidency.
I think hearing from the presidency has been way better. And like I also said, in the initial stages, I complimented Kula Fofana, our press secretary, because we're now getting weekly press briefings. Their information, there's a website we have credible people posting, not just Kulasco, posting our president picture all over Facebook. We have one site that they have not directed, even though there have been days where they're falling short of putting it on there, but they're not perfect. They've not gotten there, but in the 2 weeks, I think they're getting better. I think the response Victor gave about the HPS, about the visitors, I think it was brilliant. I think the president, I think we're being so petty now to say the president can only see presidential candidates or presidential people or see people of high caliber. I think it's new for him also. And I think he has to be seen as someone who is accommodating of anyone. So I appreciate the fact that he had HPX. You're talking Liberia. You're talking about this company. You're not talking about you're not talking about the United States of America, where he would say he can decide. He has so many other people that's contracting, doing businesses in his country so that he can see them. I think it was okay for him to meet them. And like I said, finally, it's not perfect, but they're getting there. Asset declaration, I want to be on the record that if the Constitution or the law demands that for declaring of their assets that he had to do it prior, he has fallen short of that law because he should have ensured that it was done prior. And what it means that everyone else who have declared their assets, they're falling short of what the law said of doing it prior. They've all done it after, and I want to continue to encourage them to do this. Whether he decides to make it public, I would hope that he will do that because this is what he said to us, and we have to be able to hold him accountable. He said he will publicize it, and I'm sure once LSCC is done with it, they will make it public. I'm looking forward to that. So those are my responses.
Dennis, I just wanted to mention.
Thank you.
Also,
hold on, Victor. I want to give Father Washington the opportunity. But I mentioned the HPS because our country has a history where people go directly to the president and most of the time bribe.
Yeah.
So you have relevant authorities to deal with these things. But in Africa, mostly it's always president. If a country wants to negotiate gas price, they go to the president of Nigeria, right? If Buffer Chamber want to give ambulance, it carries to the president. I mean, there's JFK, there's Redemption Hospital. So why is the president not directing them to these appropriate agencies to do these transactions? That was my concern. Father Washington.
Yeah. So before I go to answer that question, I never disagree with Mr. Sherry on the show, but today I want to disagree with him, especially with his analysis of the presentation that was made by the best law. I think she was excellent. You know, many times that question was brought to her about Liberian foreign policy, and she just answered it right way that whatever benefits Liberia is our foreign policy. There was a time even they talked about bringing a situation where they talked about United States of America and that of China. And she says, we're not going to get between there. Whatever benefits our country is what we're going to do. So for me, I think she was very excellent. The only people that I had a problem with the senator themselves, not her presentation. I think her presentation was brilliant, and I think she's a brilliant woman. Now, for
maybe President Boakai, they haven't set the foreign policy agenda, so she couldn't really talk about it, right?
No, she did. I think she did. For me, I think she did. I mean, even the issue about the one about Sunny Quilly, she just said that was something she never thought about, and she doesn't want to take a credit for it. But she acknowledged the fact that Senator, what is his name, from Bapulu brought it up, and she thought that was something very excellent. Now, for the HPS, I thought going to the executive mansion was a brilliant idea based on the fact that it was something in the past that we had a situation with. So now the government want to say, hey, in the past, Samuel Toure, other people were sanctioned because of this. We're going to bring it there so that we can prove to people that, hey, we are very transparent and we want things to work in a very transparent way. We want to say that we're showing this up to say that our hands are clean. And which I thought for me, I think it was a brilliant idea to take it to that executive action and let everybody see what they were doing. The only problem I have is that with the whole thing about when it's the institutions, when the governments, like say, okay, GSCs to go and audit these government institutions. My problem is the credibility of these institutions to do the work that they ask them to do. And the reason why I'm a little bit, they know politicians like they tell these credit they call the cell integrity institution. I found a situation in Liberia where in the GSC we're asked to go and clean the payroll for teachers. And these very GSC people that were going to clean the payroll for teachers were the ones who were telling the DEOs that, hey, there's something on your payroll, we're coming to clear it, but if you don't want us to clear it, give us something. And that's where I have my problem. Because the very institutions that are supposed to be working for the good of the people are the very institutions that are conniving to be able to get kickbacks. So when you all these audits I've always had in Liberia, they say, what they do periodic audits. What do they do with these audits? Do they prosecute people? Does it change anything? So when presidents are asking for audits, I just hope that after they get the audits report, they will take some actions. And that's all. That's probably nothing. That's what I want. I want to see actions taken. Not just have these audits report, just keep them, and then next government comes and look at it and nothing happens to them.
So we shouldn't do the audit because nothing will happen, or what's the?
Well, I sometimes I think these audits, in as much as we should be doing these audits, but sometimes I think that sometimes the institutions are supposed to be credible to do these audits. Sometimes They are called to questions, and that's where for me it's that the audits themselves are not what we want to happen. People already know, because the very people who are supposed to do audits already start telling people that, hey, we already begin to see something in our audits. So is there a way we can work around it so that we can cover things up? So it just defeats the very purpose for why they're having these audits.
Thank you.
Father Washington called my name, so let me just, if you will, please, just
quickly before the honor badge come on.
Yeah, 10 seconds. Yeah, Father Washington, thank you. I mean, you always agree with me, and I appreciate you for this, right? I really do appreciate it. But here's the thing. So the foreign minister said something about, the Mano River Union when it got to that subject, which was important. So she didn't understand that there was a pact between Guinea and Liberia. So maybe I'm being petty again, but I want to go down that lane, because foreign ministers, I do have tremendous respect for foreign ministers, because during the Doe era, I went to the foreign minister and met and sat down in Foreign Minister Rudolph Johnson's office. And I admire Foreign Minister Rudolph Johnson. I should have some admiration for foreign ministers, for some reason, and the whole idea of Liberian foreign policy and Liberia's place in the whole African continent. So it is very important to me. It's something that's near and dear to my heart, I think.
Unabashed, you got the last word on this one.
Well, first of all, let me dispel this thing that Mohammed and Glendy try to put out here, that credential doesn't matter, the Constitution does not spell out credential. I don't know where they got this from. It makes no sense for you to tell me that I'm going to hire somebody at finance and the person should not have any credential. And here, according to Mr. Kamara, is to the discretion of the leader. Can you imagine that? Foreign ministry that Mr. Kamara, that Mr. Sharif is talking about. It is the president outside of the of the country. You are the face of the country. And you have a credibility issue. You falsify your document. You have a bachelor's degree.
Mr. Gamer, let me stop you. You're going to another era, right? But the executive law, I posted that, and that's what they were quoting. And it's in there. It did not say, according to what Glendy was telling you, it did not mention qualification or educational qualification. Exactly that, right? It may not make sense, but it's not in the law. That's what she's saying.
Yes.
Thank you.
This is what I'm saying. If the leader of the executive branch is going to call a person to represent the country outside of the country, and the person has no credential. In fact, the person has a suspected credential, a bachelor's degree in 6 months. Okay? If that person can lie on something that petty,
you can say lie.
What else? Excuse me?
I said you can say lie because we don't know yet. She was not asked.
No, we know because she has it on her resume. She said she didn't graduate from Cottington University, but she went to Jackson University and got her bachelor's degree in 6 months. And the problem here is, who and where do you acquire a bachelor's degree in 6 months? So this woman cannot explain this. In fact, her defenders are saying we will talk there behind closed door. So what we are saying here, we are now going back. I think Mr. Eastman has been very, very strong on this. For our country to move forward, we have to bring experts, people who are expert in their fields of study. And now you can't say you want to take the study part of it out of it and say, hey, you can go be a surgeon general. You don't need a doctorate. You don't need a medical degree. You don't need to go to medical school. According to my judgment, you look like a decent guy. Go and do the operation. It doesn't work that way, my people. It doesn't work that way. Credential matters. This is why we are. You see, you are watering down what we all have gone to school and worked very hard for. You are watering it down. Now, our foreign minister does not have to have a degree of any kind because the Constitution doesn't require it. Like I always told the folks, if you are going in the United States here, government job, the minimum they require is a bachelor's degree, 4 or 5 years experience on the job. You through. It is us Liberia that, like Joseph Boakai want to be another George Weah, What did he do? He went to a university like Weah did and got a doctorate degree. They conferred a doctorate degree on him, and now he is now Dr. Joseph Boakai. Everything Weah have done. Weah presented his asset declaration. He declared his asset. He said the same thing. When the GAC is through with it, they will publish it, and when they approve it, they will publish it. And it's been 6 years. It never happened. Joseph Boakai is saying the exact thing Weah said. And this is what Mr. Sharif is saying. The ballot, when it's being cast, it's not about going backward. It's turning the page. In fact, Joseph Boakai said, change. This is going to be a change. But from what we are seeing here, the more things change, the more things remain the same. And this is terrible.
Dennis, let me just mention.
Just a little information. Hold on, guys. What a difference 6 years makes.
No, I mean, the people said Sharif was here.
I want us to talk about this last point before we bring in our callers. Policy-wise, President Boakai was elected on, to make changes. I saw the 100-day deliverable. It came out. We tried to reach out to the press secretary because I wanted to authenticate that this is real, because it was a document going around. I did not see it on any website, so I was not 100% sure that this is official. So we communicated with the press secretary and say, hey, this is what we got. Is it true? And we didn't hear back till the show. So I couldn't really talk about that. But let's look at policy-wise what President Boakai has, or what he's taking steps to do to change the country. How is President Boakai doing in that area compared to what we saw for the last 6 years? Policy-wise, Jimmy, let me start with you, and I want you to use at least a minute or less, and then we break in our callers. The number is on the screen. Please place your call right now.
Well, this is what I'm willing to see policy-wise, and the policy is one thing, but implementation is the real deal. This is what we're willing to see. What are the new policies? Because that is what's going to make the change. That is what's going to make the difference. Unless it will be business as usual, unless you start enacting new policies that will bring about changes and differences, it's going to be much of the same. We haven't seen that yet, and that's why I say I'm on the fence yet, because it's early. But his policies and the lieutenants who enforce them and carry out reforms to address those policies, to make them visible, to make them actionable, is what we will see. It's still early, but that's the crux. You hit it on the nail just now. That is what's going to make the difference here, unless it'll be more of the same.
Thank you. And let me correct, the press secretary responded that the document is legit, except that they are working on the final version. So I've just been told from the back office that we got that information. Let me go to Glendy this time. Let's look at policy-wise. What are the changes so far, and how do they differ from what we've witnessed under President Weah?
So Dennis, frankly speaking, I don't know if we've seen any policies, major policies that have been made. We've seen some things that Boakai wants to happen. For example, the drug, we can assume that there will be a new drug policy based on the fact that they're now getting tested, and he's encouraging people to get tested. That we will see. We'll also see that there's been a lot of talk about audits. So we hope to see some policies coming up on that. I think I would like to say it's too early really right now to tell just a policies aspect, because he really doesn't have his full cabinet together yet to be able to effectively put anything in place to move forward with that. There's more to be seen, but so far I think they're making a little leadway, but not major for me.
Father Washington, sorry.
Yeah, so I was just kind of echo the same line of Glendy. The only thing where I'm getting a little bit of hope from when I listen, but these are when people make political statements, sometimes you just gotta be careful. But when I listen to some of the confirmation, and I listen to some of the ministers who are designated or who are confirmed, and I see that sometimes they talk about transformation, some of the things they want to change in the ministry. But if that what they're going to do, then we hope that there'll be things that bring a bit of change. But if it's just something because they want to get confirmed, then we're just going to go back to business as usual. But I hear some of the things to say, some of the ministers, some of the things to say about the policies that the thing on the book that needs to be changed or that need to be followed. And that gives a little bit of hope if only they do what they said they would do.
Thank you. Aliu, when the president speaks or promises something, even from his inaugural, those are all policies, right? So no car stuck in the mud. The local government, changing that ministry to local government, except that instead of you getting Dahlia, you got Yumali to head it, but that's the only. How we doing?
By the way, for the record, it is not specified in the American Constitution as to what education criteria you must have to head any position in America, including the presidency. No criteria. And the next thing you must know is that
Mr. Kamara, come on, don't go there now.
Hold on.
Don't say that we're sitting on here.
Mr. Given, wait. Okay, another thing again, let me put you again. Another thing again, the way people function in the House of Legislature is different from the executive. Just because Dawud Dillon went to their secretary and submitted something and took a copy and displayed it doesn't mean that's how it works in the executive. Two different branches. Now, the Numali thing is actually a controversial thing. Personally, I have a different perspective about it compared to what Joseph Boakai is doing. However, he said he believes in the rule of law. He believes that this man should have his fair share of justice. So it's up now to you, the people.
That's not court, though. Appointing somebody that you're not sending them to court. So,
but you send you're nominating. Not even appointed. He was not appointed.
Right.
He was nominated. Now he has to be approved by you, the people, your lawmakers. That's where you must do your due diligence. But all in all, look, I'll tell you one thing. Joseph Boakai have exemplified in many ways. I like my pops. I learned from him a lot. If I ever decide to pursue leadership, I will be one of the best leaders just following Joseph Boakai's format. He showed you signs. He's a man of few words, but a lot of action. Joseph Boakai have told you drop. He started right away. Who did he put there? He put a very aggressive security officer in that area. That's one of the ways he's tracking. He has talked about combating corruption. One of the places in government where people know to harbor corruption secretively is the NSA. It has been a taboo topic. Nobody has ever had the ball to think about attacking the NSA in terms of auditing. Joseph Boakai has hit the nail right on the top of the head. The whole country shakes. So it's been 2 weeks. But when we talk about the local government thing, it's not necessarily Joseph Boakai's policy. It has been a Unity Party policy. This thing was passed, it was sent to the legislature by the Unity Party before George Weah came, and later on was passed in 2018. So it's just implementing the previous agenda, and that there are lots of good things on the book for implementation. Like you said, implementation again is one of his policies, and he's trying to implement some of those things as well.
The Justice Minister, you want to talk about that too?
Yeah. Again, we have to give people due diligence, not necessarily from the adjudication perspective. The Justice Minister have come and denied. The House of Senate now has the obligation to verify this to Dennis. If we just accuse Dennis of being something and then authority act without actually verifying this information just because they're circulating on social media, we will be doing injustice to other people. The government's responsibility is to protect every human being.
I agree. And that's why I expected the Senate to ask Madam Sarah Beslo-Yanti about the bachelor degree, but they didn't, right? Because we wanted to be transparent as possible. So that
maybe they have a different way to do their thing compared to what we were doing on the outside.
Moving the goalpost now.
Yes, exactly. He's moving the goalpost. That's what he's doing.
Because if you say they should do that and we don't see them doing it behind closed doors, then they're leaving us out.
Maybe they were convinced, Dennis. They were convinced that she met all the criteria. In fact, there's no academic requirement for her job.
That's what I'm saying. Then come and say it. Be transparent. Just say it.
Sometimes action speaks louder than words, Dennis.
Oh, it doesn't work that way. All right. I want to bring some colors here very shortly, but let me hear from Mr. Sharif.
Yeah, so perhaps if I have been negative, I'm going to be positive right now. Kula Fofana is doing awesome. This is a breath of fresh air. Because under Weah, you had nobody. So you had a president who didn't speak to the Liberian people. There was no conversation with the Liberian people. You had a president who was dancing around, just dancing and partying and so on and so forth. But now you have a press secretary who goes out there now, every now and then, every time, taking questions. This is all of a sudden, this is new. This is different. I like this. So continue with something like this. We want to see this. Something like this. We want to see. And then lastly, Dennis, I think you should have been at LBS. How about that? It's our LBS.
I was looking at the Ministry of Information.
Let that sink in again.
The Ministry of Information has been handled wrongly, and I'm going to, if they can allow me to consult with them, because the information of the country, the Information Ministry is not the press secretary, right? And they are not marketing the country. They are only talking for the president.
Yeah, and then they got my brother Anthony Kessley as Deputy Minister for Public Affairs, and then you got Fangon at LBS. So why are you underutilizing Anthony Kessley?
So Anthony Kessley responded to that question. He said he's very happy with where he is. So let's leave it at that. Let me bring in some colors here. We have 2 minute colors. Let's start with Mr. Kalebo Gonglo. Mr. Gonglo, 1 minute, please. Mr. Gonglo, are you there?
Well, I don't have 1 minute. Dennis, I don't have a question. Hello?
Yes, sir. Go ahead, sir.
Dennis, am I there? Okay. So I just wanted to make a quick comment because I think you guys are talking about policy-wise. My comment on the policy issue would be that, yes, we have a change of government, but we are yet to see which direction President Boakai wants to take this country to. Particularly, my concern is with the drug test. The drug test, I think, is a publicity disaster for him. Because I don't know to why he say he wants to carry this. Is he going to require all civil servants to do drug tests? If someone goes do the drug test and the person feels, what is the consequence? So I mean, is he going to require civil servants who are governed by different set of rules, who are even been hired before you got elected to do drug tests? I mean, I think it's going to be. He's actually looking for unnecessary noise because
I think when he followed through with that,
I think people are going to make noise on that.
I think when you follow through with that to make it a requirement, that would be a good thing, right? And the same to make a requirement.
A requirement for what? So what is the end game?
So you pass drug tests, you do your drug screening. I work with
before you work.
Yes.
Before you work in the country.
No, before you work in government.
Come on, Dennis. Where have you seen in the world? Show me one country. Is there any country in the
world? It happens right here.
Drug tests.
No. Drug tests. And I work with the military.
Different countries face different issues. Where I work today, I took drug tests.
No. The thing is, you don't address the drug issue. It's a small screen thing.
No, let's wait and see why he's carrying it. Then we can make a better analysis of that.
But I think it's a bad start.
All right. Thank you. Mr. Thomas Kane. Mr. Kane, you're live.
Thank you, Dennis. I just wanted to make a comment on the foreign minister because I think she has been confirmed.
Yes, she is.
Her situation is a bit unfortunate because we are coming from this background of 6 years of the George Weah regime, where academic qualification was not considered. People manufactured degrees.
But Mr. Kane, how will you say it was not considered? It was. That's why people have a lot of PhDs.
On a Judge Weah has the highest number of fake PhDs.
Right. You could say fake, but they consider PhD education, right? That's why they had it. People have fake PhD. But go ahead, sir.
But how can you consider quality education and you get people with fake PhD? What are you saying, Dennis?
He didn't know, right? So the people have their PhD. but go ahead, make your point.
But they told him that these people got fake PhDs and he did not remove them. But the point I'm making is that we have transitioned from that regime, and the expectation was that we are going to get to a government where people with competence who are academically qualified will enter the new government. And then the foreign minister had this issue. So it has really not been clarified. If you listen to her confirmation hearing, she started talking about she went to Cottington and then jumped to the master's degree, that she went to do her master's because that's the only way she could get elevated in the UN.
Right.
And left that area, not that the question of her PhD, not answered. And then in the end, she comes back and says she went back to school to do another PhD.
Exactly.
So the issue of her first bachelor has not been answered. And the painful part of it is that everyone is out here going to school. Because of this single lady, we came to a point where everybody was saying we need experience, we don't need education. What message are you sending to the younger generation? That you should go out there and do internship and get experience for 15 years and come. And because she was very worried about this academic issue, she went to the Senate, and all her confirmation hearing was what she did in the UN. She became this, she became that, she became this, she became that. And the whole note that was waiting for her to deliver on what is the foreign policy priority of Nigeria, she kept it to the end. She could not even say about it because she was trying to convince the Senate that she's competent for the job. And like Mohammed is saying, foreign policy is a training by itself. You don't just get it because you work in the UN. But the point I want to conclude on is only 100-day deliverable. We saw the document that is being in chat rooms, and like you said, they said they are working on the final one. But I wanted to make it consistent with the speech that was the two speeches that have been delivered. Because, for instance, on the creation of the Ministry of Local Government, I didn't see it in the version of the 100-day plan that was being circulated today. So the question is, why are you leaving that out if you are going to submit the law for the creation of the revenue for the tourism authority? Submit the one for the Ministry of Local Government. So I think there needs to be some consistency in terms of the plan and the policy statements that he's making. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Maybe it's in a 300-day plan, not a 100-day. Mr. James Davis, go ahead. You're live. Let's be very brief. I have so many colors here. Go ahead, Dave.
I would disagree with Sharif and other people who talk about education and whatsoever. If we want to make the civil service strong, and you want to talk about education requirements, then you should also set requirements for who to become senator and representative. Why is a senator or representative only require age? Or the president require age? To be president of the bread, you only need age. You don't need education. To be a senator, you only need age. You don't need education. So, a third-grade student can, what are you going to tell somebody who get master's degree or who get any high school degree? What kind of question are you going to ask that person?
Thank you.
If we want to make the civil service strong, we should have requirements for everybody.
Thank you.
So we should have new referendum that we're going to go around and say, before becoming a senator, it should be so and so, it should be so and so. That's requirement. But you don't tell me that requirement, then you want to tell me a third-grade student will go after the student, what kind of question? They're not equal. So a one-side educational requirement as a boundary for everybody to get jobs, we should set requirement for also those who doing the confirmation.
Thank you.
That's the 100%.
Thank you. Father Wilson, is that water? It look red.
That wine. That is Catholic wine.
All right, let me bring on another caller here. That's the legend. Aston Wisse. Go ahead, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. A great show. Very spirited show. Listen, let me attack this issue from two stands. More so to my Sidician brother came in, and the rest of the people who were in line with the government that just left state power. Yeah, here's the thing. You guys I would take an honest person, even with an associate degree, than a very learned person who has been alleged of a rape in the case of Maxwell Kimia. That man was not investigated the entire time that our Liberian citizen alleged that he did such a hideous act. No one said anything. They swept it under the rug until they left state's power. And when I hear people talk about it, like Eugene Fagon going to LBS, our Director General, I suppose he has 3 or 4 associate degree. I would take Eugene Fagon or Jefferson Koji, who doesn't even know how many continents we have in the world. Are you kidding me? I mean, who said we have 17 continents in the world was the city mayor of he was just conferred a doctorate degree by Bachelor University in California. He doesn't walk around calling himself Dr. Usher. Joseph Boakai didn't ask to confer honorary doctorate degree on him. He's not going to be walking around calling himself Dr. Boakai. He's going to be called President Boakai. George made all the people, his close followers were calling him Dr. George Weah. George Weah would think that in his theory of right scarcity, when there is scarcity of right for the market, you should reduce the right quota so that those who do not make ends meet can buy it. Do you understand when somebody speaks like that?
Thank you.
I beg you guys, look, let the government sit down and serve the Nigerian people. Then, if they don't perform after 1 year, all of us who are objective, who brought the government to state power, will be there to criticize them. Until then, do yourself a favor. Sit back, relax, and take a cold glass of wine and sit and watch the government perform. If the field will be very critical, we'll critique them to the letter. I am not a coward. I will speak out against the government even though I brought them to state power. Thank you all.
Thank you. But the things are so critical that we can afford to sit back, drink wine to whack. Let's start talking now.
Dennis, I don't drink wine. I don't drink wine. I drink water and soda. I drink a lot of soda though.
Oh, soda ain't worse than wine.
Yeah, soda, yeah.
Mr. Warwood, go ahead, you are live.
Yeah, thank you, Dennis. So here is what I will say tonight. When President Biden took office on that Wednesday, in his first 1 hour, he signed 17 executive orders. In the first 1 hour, I'm not saying 2 days or 3 days. First 1 hour on that Wednesday afternoon, he signed 17 executive orders. And one of those executive orders was he extended deportation protections for Liberians. Had he not done so, because Mr. Trump had threatened to cancel this protection, had Mr. Biden not done so, we would have had about 4,000 Liberians in jeopardy here in the United States. And Biden also went on to strengthen legal protection for dreamers. Out of the 17, just to name a few. First, Mr. Boakai became president. We are well into his second week. Boakai has not said no policy whatsoever. We don't even know what Boakai is up to. Besides going to church or going to a body association to take pictures or going to take drug tests. Nobody knows what this man is up to. I think Mr. Weah was even far better than Boakai in his first order. Mr. Weah negotiated rest price with the Rest Food Association. Gas price. What is Mr. Boakai doing? In fact, he is blowing the wage bill of the government. First time in the history of Liberia, we have 2 ministers for Minister of State without portfolio. Are you kidding me? Look, Dennis, this is a total mess. Liberia are in a long haul for another mess. Thank you.
Thank you, man. Come on, you. Flomo, please respond to Warwood.
Hello.
Yeah, go ahead, Flomo. You are live.
Yeah, great show. I'm happy with what the president is doing. It's on course. All the campaign promises he did, he's living up to it. The drug tax, the audit, he talked about it, and he declares access. And we'll continue it. President Boakai will not government according to how we feel. We're not here to think how she didn't feel. They were there, they didn't do it. So when it comes to protection, I appreciate it. But at the same time, if you want the foreign minister to have the protection, what about those who are, the senators and the representatives? I think they should have protection in the same thing that they're trying to ask people to do. For example, Natala Magay is a chair on education. So you tell me what credential does Natala Magay has that, but he wants someone who representing the education center to have a credential, but Magay they don't have nothing to do. That book, the CDC destroy this country. You don't destroy the country to the point that they set the country 50 years back. That's how those guys just destroy our country. You know, and President Boakai is doing everything he can, and we should give him, the credit of what he's doing. Instead of just coming criticize saying, why executive order you want the president to sign if there's none? You just wanted to make out some executive order and just sign. Can you name some say there's this executive order that you need to be signed and you didn't do it? When we come to this, let's speak on the side and start talking about the West government whatsoever. You were there for 6 years. You got nothing to show. You tell the country 50 years back. We're trying to fix the country, then you won't complain. Oh, thank you, man. Good show.
Thank you. Mr. James Tamba, you are live.
Yes. First and foremost, I'd like to say that this program tonight should have been held on the 101st day because it is a little bit too early, in my view. I think we should give this group the benefit of the doubt.
For how long?
Old. They are in their infancy.
Okay.
For God's sake, let's give them the benefit of the doubt. That's one point. The second point is, I think my brother Gilman and the likes of him are having problem criticizing this group only because the way our government set the bar so low that even if you don't have anything to do, you can almost be a star, given what we went through the last 6 years. That's my second point. My last and final point is an advice to the government is that if you want to change policy, most of the African government run into problems with procurement. My advice to them is to strengthen GSA. It is strengthening your procurement. Where most of the problems come about, your fiscal discipline policy will be highly respected. Corruption will be curbed. If and only if you can strengthen the procurement policy of the country. That's my advice to them.
Thank you.
It's a good show, but it was held too early. Let's give them the benefit of the doubt.
For how long, Mr. Tamba?
Well, they have already set a benchmark for themselves. 100 days.
Okay.
Shall we?
So,
Shall we wait and hold this program on the 101st day of their leadership or their government? At that point, we can hold them responsible for certain things or most of the things that they promised to have done within the 100 days. But I think it's too early to compare them with the government that were in power for 6 years. It's not fair.
Thank you.
That's why the people of my brother Gateman they can criticize. The bar was so low as I indicated. So how can you even compare?
Thank you.
The likes of which with anybody right now. Where how they qualify? Compare them with the previous ones. And you tell me, put them one by one marching. You can't. You know that, Gilman. You know that.
I don't know everything. That's why I brought these people. Mr. Dukley, can you move your body up? You are sinking. Let me bring Mr. Elvis Morris. Mr. Morris, you're live. Go ahead, sir.
All right.
Dennis, I'm very in the snow.
And thank you to the panelists. Look, I think the reason why Joseph Boakai is being criticized, there was a platform in which he came into office.
Scrutinized, not criticized.
This notion that the country needed to be rescued. The snail pace at which this government is moving is not concomitant with the idea of rescue. You know, it's almost opposite of what, you know, the speed of this government should be going. If something is in dire straits and it needs to be rescued, things have to be on the ground and moving really fast, and people seeing results quickly. So I think that's why people are being, people are scrutinizing this government, if I will use your word. But I want to draw, the panelists' attention to something that I think is being overlooked in the country, even in our region. If we look at every one of our immediate neighbors, the Sierra Leone, the Ivory Coast, the Guinea, we see a lot of political turmoil. We see people who are in office either through a coup or who extended their time in office. Ouattara is there for a third term. We see Doumbouya in Guinea who had a coup. We see Ernest Bai Koroma in Sierra Leone who has been arrested for treason. You can go to Ghana, similar thing there. People are being on trial for a failed coup. You go to Nigeria, we know how that election was held. We see what's going on in Senegal. So the fact that George Weah left us in a peaceful state where we can sit here and argue about the political state of our nation is a blessing for us.
Oh God!
With everything that's going on, I think we have to give our former president props for that, because we could have been in turmoil right now had this thing going the other way and civilians being in the street and protesting. We could have been in a bad position.
Right.
So, Mr. Boakai, you came on a rescue mission. The pace that you're going at is not showing that you're already on a rescue mission. That's why we're scrutinizing you. Well, I don't have any problem with his nominees. I think their performance will ultimately decide whether or not they were good picks. Thank you for taking my call.
Mr. Morris, Mr. Bai Koroma is in Nigeria. He's not on arrest.
And he said, we know that he has done us a favor. Let me bring on Cecilia.
Which favor he gave us?
Cecilia, you're alive. Go ahead.
Hey.
Oh, that's not a name. That's the name that came out. Your name and where you calling from?
Yeah, that's a family page. So that's a family account. That's why I appeared at that.
So what's your name?
I'm Farrington, calling from Boston tonight.
Farrington, go ahead, sir.
Farrington.
Oh, Farrington, go ahead.
Yeah. So just thank you for your show. We just want to tell the UP people that they told all that they were going to rescue the country. We're watching them for their 100 days to rescue the country. We don't want any excuse from them. That's all we can tell them. Let them rescue us in 100 days. Thank you for your show. That's how we want to.
Rescue. Thank you. That's the. It's a given you have someone who's supporting you, so all is not lost.
It was never lost. The fact that we have, I think the Unity Party people, they are very incongruent. The man said, President, we have set the bar so low, but Joseph Boakai couldn't jump over the bar. What is this? If the bar is so low and this man can jump over it, then he's actually a failure. That's what he just said. He said, President, we have set the bar so low that Joseph Boakai had just jumped over, but then why is that jumping over it? Like, I mean, I can't find the logic in what the Unity Partisans are saying. They either moving the goalpost or they actually took the goalpost out. They didn't even move it. They took it out. No goalpost, so you can't score.
Thank you. Glendy, you can score. Is that true?
Mr. Gimme will follow whatever narrative he has. The man is a propagandist. What do you expect? Anything different? Nothing.
You see, I didn't say the bar was said low.
Wait.
The bar been said low. I said it. I didn't say that.
Go. Thank you, Mr. Dukley. Any reaction to any one of our callers?
Yeah, I mean, look, these listeners are just reflecting on their, partisan affiliations and their own thought. But I mean, look, I used to say to people, this is a moment where we as Liberians need to reflect, because the 6 years that we had for when CDC was in power, we saw all the ills of our nation and the way he went about, and our system of governance, the way the president is in charge of the country, is something that we need to take a look at, because when people are in politics, they're going for campaigns, they make promises, and they become beholden to these promises. Comes he or she takes power. Look, they're all always well-intentioned, but it's not enough to be well-intentioned. So when we are here sitting here today talking about the nominees and the people that have been, suggested to hold positions, there's supposed to be a renewal from what we had. In other words, the aspiration of our nation and the people who are going to deliver that aspiration need to be people that we can count on. But if we are here, a new day has just dawned on us, and you have people with questionable characters, people who have absolutely zero clue of the portfolio they are in charge of, then, skeptics will always want to say, you know what, it's either going to be same of the old or even worse.
Thank
So
you.
really, as much as I want to be reasonable to say, okay, I'm going to wait to see what's going to happen, what's going to unfold in the next, 30, 60 days, the signs are just so troubling that it's hard to sit by it and not say, it doesn't look good.
Thank you. They say when someone coming from the farm with the cassava on your hair, is the face you look at before you even think about asking that person for some cassava.
The load too heavy, you can tell, huh?
When that person face looking some kind of way, you're scared to ask. But I want us to go around the room, man. Something I put it on my Facebook, but nobody responded. What is your favorite GMB quote? Let me start with Mr. Aliu.
President, I want to say something to the callers.
No, forget the colors. Give me your favorite GMB quote. You will give that in your closing.
Think Liberia, love Liberia, build Liberia.
Jimmy, what's your favorite GMB quote?
Wow. Favorite GMB quote? I only remember that he was going to chase corruption down. Right. And that is a huge task. That's all I can remember.
Let me give you one to refresh your memory. He said,
I live alone.
He said, you don't stop running when the thing running behind you has not stopped. Father Wilson, what's your favorite GMB quote?
Well, I mean, there are a lot of quotes that he has.
Your favorite?
I don't know what I should call that favorite, because for me, politicians, when they give all these beautiful quotes and things, I just they're not going to live up to it. So I don't even want to start repeating some of the things he has said, because he's not even.
Okay, just tell what he said before.
For example, one of the things he keeps saying that we're ready for business. We're gonna lead by example. Yesterday when he came from after he declared his answer, when he came outside, one thing he said was that I didn't come to the presidency for I think he said I didn't come because of presidency business, but I came to lead by example. So it's like he's saying that, I don't just want to be president for the sake of being president. I want to be president to be the lead. These are all political.
Brandy, your favorite GMB quote, or most memorable?
He said we had some real opportunities to develop our country, but we squandered all of them.
Now,
yeah, I was really going to talk about squandered opportunity, but since my sister took it from my mouth, I have reminded the president about his pledge to set up the War and Economic Crimes Court. That was one of his quotes.
Mr. Dukley.
I think I was going to talk about when he says he will lead by example.
Mr. Sharif.
Yeah, the several. One of the things he said, I was, one of the debate in 2016 or something like that, and he said, I was a parked race car. Put me out there. I was a race car.
Nice. I'm on the road now.
The tires are all wobbling.
Right.
Mr. Goodman.
I live alone. I want to leave something. Go to GSC Bank. I took loan 5 times. 5 times to leave something for my children. That's my favorite quote. I just can't get it off my head. Leave alone.
All right.
I think that's a good one. At least he didn't work corruptly.
And Ali's favorite quote is that when you go in somewhere and the river is full, that can prevent you from.
But that's not a quote.
You can give a man's job to a boy.
Yeah.
That's a quote.
Oh, the one you said the river can prevent you from going further, but it can't prevent you from coming back is not quote.
We try to break that one down. The whole book he meant.
Dennis, I know we'll soon go around the horn. Can I just make a quick comment on the deliverables? Because I didn't have a chance to talk about it.
All right, go ahead. The 100-day deliverables?
Yes.
We didn't talk about it, as I said.
Yeah.
Madam Kula Fufana said they are working on the final one. So
right
before we're looking at what he has said so far, policy-wise.
I appreciate that. I understand it's a draft, but look, and I know a lot has been said about the foreign ministry, the foreign minister, and all that. But if you look on the deliverables, they have only 2 lines under the foreign ministry: the employment of an inspector general and paying salary arrears. That's all they have under the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. What does that tell us about their expectation for the foreign? I mean, in this day and age when the entire world is embroiled in conflict, the Middle East, Eastern Europe, even right there, or someone just said about the unrest in the region, Guinea, Burkina Faso, all over the place. What is our foreign policy?
Thank you.
And I read on the thing, we have Ministry of Telecommunication, then we have Communication Authority, then we have Post and Telecom. I think there are 3 different telecommunication agencies. Yeah. That is not what this president plans to do. This is probably even worse than business as usual. That's why I'm just sitting here, I'm wondering. I haven't seen or heard anything earth-shattering that is so bold as to say, you know what? I need to sit and think now and pay attention. I haven't seen it. Besides, piling up the Ministry of State and Presidential Affairs, so I mean, I hope we'll come back and talk about the deliverables. I saw on some of the clusters, the lead presenters for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, you got John Baloo. For education, I don't know the combined education, youth, and labor. What does that mean? And you have Dr. Yabaru. Where is Dr. Jaso Jala? So, I'm trying to give them the space to figure this thing out. But hey, they put out the 100 days. Over 20 days of the 100 days are already gone. How much time are they going to have to figure this out? But anyway, thanks. I'm sure we'll come back to it.
We'll definitely come back to it.
Yeah.
Harrison, when you say favorite is no car will be stuck in the mud in the first 100 days.
Okay.
Well, but thank you so much for tonight. We're going to go around the room and conclude. We started with the big question. Say, will Joseph Newman Boakai, meaning his administration, be better than, worse than, or same as Weah, or is it too soon to tell? We'll go around the horn, starting with Mr. Nambi.
Well, Dennis, I think the government will be mistaken if they will compare the success relative to the immediate past government. They have to be looking to the Kigamis of this world, Adam Barrows of this world, even Mada Beals. But if they're going to look in the rear view mirror,
or the Ellen Saliva of this world,
or the Ellen Saliva, but if their success is going to be measured by the immediate past government, then they would have failed us. And it looks to me like that's what they're busy doing. Because every day they're comparing to themselves to the immediate past government from $20 million to $40 million. What is this? So, I'll urge my fellows, and I know they have a lot of well-meaning people in there. They need to get it together. They're really embarrassing us. I think they're figuring out this setting up the government thing, but still, there are a lot of unforced errors, and they could be bold and do bigger things. They're still being minimalist. This is not what they were elected for. So they got to watch out. Time is really running out. Thank you.
Thank you. Jimmy.
Yeah, I think I would like to admonish this new administration too. The one thing Ellen Johnson told them that the corruption in the in the government was also her Waterloo. She could not overcome it. And
hold on. There's an emergency here. Focus on Liberia Health Contributor say your panelists need to stand and stretch and move their legs every hour to prevent blood clots.
Okay.
Glendy, you didn't tell us too.
All right.
Glendy got her eyes on JFK. She can't do nothing else.
I'm not even interested. When I bring up conversations, I want us to start talking. Yes, I'm interested in JFK because I want it to be better.
There you go. Glendy, I hear your passion.
We want it to be better.
We're going to take a 40-second break so you can stretch. We don't want to get people with our health problems.
Our country, sweet Mandela, our country, that God gave us this country. Fellow Liberian, that God gave us this country. We are calling on everyone here to come and pray for this country, Liberian, God gave us this country.
Jimmy, go ahead.
Yeah. So, his predecessor or his former boss, Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, once said that corruption was the vampire. She just couldn't overcome it. And I hope he takes a cue from this, because declaring your assets is one of the things you do, but strengthening anti-corruption institutions, legislative reform, transparency and accountability, e-government and technology are all kinds of other tools you will have to employ. And the last admonishment I will give him is that take a cue from your other boss, Willie. If they're not performing, sack them. That's my advice.
Lenny?
So great show, Dennis. Tonight was historical because my brother Victor and I were almost in sync. I'll be taking break every now and then, so when I come out, we can be very close. So great show tonight. We're looking forward. Like I said, I want to think that it's still early, but I'm hopeful and I anticipate that this government will do better, because a lot of people have the opportunity now to speak up early, to give constructive criticism, or to say when things are not doing well, and they're listening. I trust the ability of Kula Fofana to be in the president's ears, to hear what the community is saying, and to also be able to make those changes that's needed as a press secretary, so that the community at large is informed. But on the overall, good show. We're wishing them all the best. We'll look up to new appointments. They still haven't yet broken the tradition of yes for every nominee. We hope, we don't know who's going to be the first one that they will reject, but we're looking out to that. We hope that it can be reflective of what Liberians want it to be in. May the best be for Liberia always. Thank you.
Thank you. And by the way, Smith Toby was Deputy Press Secretary. I think he was given briefing. So we need to mention that too. While it's true that Kula Fofana is doing very well, but Smith Toby gave briefing. And Smith Toby was here for 14 episodes on the on Focus on Liberia to be able to...
So where was he giving the briefings? Was it weekly or was it once in a while when the president traveled?
Maybe once every year.
Yeah, when the president traveled?
It was not weekly.
But,
okay, thank you, Dennis.
But listen to this, Mr. Jack, can I correct you, please?
Yeah, go ahead.
Mr. Badio was press secretary for Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, and he did exactly that. In fact, I thought he has been one of the best press secretaries that I have seen in my lifetime in Liberia. I don't know him, but I follow him, and he was very,
left hand or left hand. We're talking about today left hand.
No. Some of you are saying this is the first time. This is something new.
No, I'm not saying. I think if she's doing a great job. It's not. I don't think she's better than others.
No. Earlier, somebody said this was something new, and I said you want to look at professionalism. Badio, I think Badio is the standard.
With the social media era, so things have changed tremendously.
Yes,
and so that's why Kula Fofana provided this breath of fresh air, because we didn't see that for the past 6 years, really, and that was so depressing. I mean, we watched these things here, and these guys are anyway. So, Gabe, you're closing.
Yeah. The reason that I'm a lot skeptical is, if you don't like a law, you repeal that law before you move on. We have a standard for local government. I thought Honorable Boakai would have come and said, now we are going back to the Constitution. Superintendents, these people are now going to be elected as qualified by the Constitution. This is local government. We have it there. We had local government already.
Why didn't you guys do it under the CDC, Jerome?
Well, I thought you said are you going to be retrospective now, or are you turning the page? You guys said we didn't do it. You were going to do it. We did it the wrong way. Now everybody's coming doing the same thing. In fact, even worse. Anyhow, but what troubled me most, Mr. Dennis, is the fact that this I've never seen in Liberian politics, where the president, the executive branch, selected all senators to serve on his search and recommendation committee. The same people in front of whom these particular people are going. I mean, I never see anything like for Dara Dillon to serve as a search committee. Then he recommends his sister-in-law, and then the sister-in-law appears before him, and he refused to recuse himself, and then she gets confirmed. I never see anything. And those of you who are here, nobody said anything that the executive and the upper house serve as a vetting committee. I never heard that. It's illegal. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dukley.
Yeah. Thank you, Dennis. I think the example that Mr. Gema just cited is one of the bad examples that I had reflected on earlier. But I hope that President Boakai will heal to the constructive criticism that is coming his way, and he takes them in stride. Because of the 40 so more years that he has accumulated over the years, we haven't seen it bear any on any of his appointments or his experience or the way he has conducted himself so far. So I hope that the constructive criticism that's going to come his way, he takes them in stride and see if he can right some of the wrong choices or wrong decisions that have been made thus far.
Thank you. Father Washington.
I think it's been a great exchange, and I think we've tried as best as possible to bring some education to our people. I would like to close with a quote from Mother Teresa. She says that we all cannot do great things, but we can do little things in good ways. And every time I look at our president, I see that he's making some of these, these great statements and saying great things. My only fear is that if he says something and I think it's not implemented, I don't know when he's going to go hard on people if they don't do it. That's the only fear for him. I can see he will say things, he looks beautiful, but he's going to go after people if they don't implement what he's saying. So that's the only fear that I have for you. And the other thing also, my little caution to this government is that just do the little things, just do the small things. When I get to the airport, I don't want people running after me to give me pen to be able to sign. No, I don't. When I go get my passport, let me just pay my money and get it. Just do the little things. And I don't want to see people say, that's the little things I want to see done. That will give me some impression that the government is very serious.
Thank you. Aleo.
Yes, I was listening to someone the other time. There was a flight from George Bush International in Houston to New York. Midway in the air, the pilot realized that they forgot to load the plane with fuel. So you're running out of fuel. So he picks the intercom and tell everybody on the plane that, hey, we're running out of fuel, we cannot go straight, so we have to make a quick stop. I think it's Chicago or something. So a lady in the plane said, well, I have a connect flight to catch at Dallas airport, and I'm getting late, and this and that. She was making noise on the plane. So the pilot said, well, if you can't be patient enough to wait till we get to Chicago and refuel, you might not be able to get any connections at all if we don't stop. So this is a flight that just took 2 weeks. 2 weeks. And you want this flight to reach to the final destination in 2 weeks. It's a 6-year journey. In 2 weeks, you wanted that. But that's okay. I can assure you, though, that the GMB that we have known over the years knows exactly what it's doing. Let me say this to my Liberian people. We are not, or I personally, Aliyu, I am not in any way bringing down education. Education is knowledge, is information, and it actually helps catapult you to your destination. And that is why we all find our way somehow to attend some kind of school, some way, somehow, because we know the importance of education. Then it's my boss is a mere high school graduate supervising people who have college education. Well, what I'm trying to tell people is the level of degree does not determine.
That depends on where you work, though.
I work in procurement. He's playing with numbers all the time.
Where?
So your level.
No, let's leave it at that.
I work at Walmart parking house.
I work in procurement. We
go ahead.
Let me specify. I'm telling you that this man is doing a better job than some people on the show right now. Okay, this man is responsible to provide logistics to the Marines and the United States Navy across the Middle East, and he's in charge of that department. Okay, he's the kind of document that he plays with every day. We're talking millions of dollars. So it's no joke. If you can do that. So what I'm saying is the amount of degrees you have does not determine your output. It doesn't.
And where is this coming from? If I must ask.
Yeah. Where
is this? No. We say here on many occasions that the Constitution of Liberia does not specify any academic criteria to occupy offices. And some people might be thinking, okay, what they're saying is they think education is not important. I'm trying to clarify to them that we know the importance of education. We all need it. However, some people need it more than some to perform. That's what I want to tell you. Some people have leadership naturally, and some people have leadership by learning. And I want you to know that. However, we're not saying that in technical areas, you should put somebody who does not have the technical expertise. That's why every agency or ministry have the technocrat. They got it. The deputy minister for technical affairs, assistant minister for technical affairs, director for technical affairs. Those are the technicians, and they are there. All right. Now, but all in all, it has been a great show. I just ask you to be honest with yourself, and realize, and just stick to the fact that it's only 2 weeks, and Joseph Boakai cannot work in America. And this to do. Let me just say this before I close. I wasn't disagreeing with you completely, but when people make general statements, then I tend to sometimes want to question it. To say our foundation was 40 just in that general perspective, no. We have some missteps, we have some miscomings, but look at our Constitution. It even protected our territory, our land. Aliyu Kamara has land. That's because the Constitution protected me. If not, all the Lebanese would have bought everything from me.
I'm glad you know.
It's a great show.
I'm glad you know that the Constitution protected you. I'm glad you know that.
But it doesn't mean the people who were implementing it were not corrupt. That's the problem.
I don't know that they put it together for you so you can be protected. Just remember that.
No, I know that.
No. Let me just reflect your memory. I don't know if anyone remember this. Take a look. President Weah has been crowned the king, the development king.
He is the king.
This is where we are coming from. So please understand if some people get a little impatient. Mr. Sharif, you're closing, sir.
Yeah, so it's been great. So all we're asking is the administration to do the right thing, the president to do the right thing. So when you when you nominate an internal affairs minister who has announced that that he is an avowed murderer, you have to immediately distance yourself. The press sector has to come out there immediately and denounce and distance yourself from this individual. Are you keeping this individual because he's a tribal loyalist? I have concerns about that. I have concerns about doubling down on people who you need to distance yourself from. When people cast their ballots, they're turning the page. You turn the page on an incompetent past. Tonight, what you heard from the callers is something that re-echoed the sentiment of the Liberian people, which is that you had incompetent people in position under George Weah, the likes of Jefferson Kwiji. Somebody said, Legend mentioned, Jefferson Kwiji talk about 17 continents, and Jefferson Kwiji, was a door boy. It was a guy who, just put in position, by George Weah. And so you don't want this, Mr. Boakai. You don't want to repeat those mistakes. You don't want to do that. And somebody said, I think it was Father Washington, he said that, comparing yourself to your predecessor, that, where the bar was so low. The bar was so low. So why are you comparing yourself to those predecessors?
We are comparing them. They're not comparing themselves.
So you want to compare yourself, like Jimmy said, to some of the good ones. You want to look in the past. You want to look in the trouble era. You want to look in eras, in between there from 1847. Some of the eras that people that have done very well. Some of the presidents have done very well, Dennis. So you want to look there. If possible, get to the past. And then somebody also mentioned, look to some of the African leaders who have done so well for their countries. Look at, Rwanda came out of a civil war, a bitter civil war. They've done exceptionally well. And in the sub-region, some people are doing well. So look towards those. Now, when I talk about the foreign ministry, to wrap this up all up now, Dennis, when I talk about the foreign ministry will push this kind of agenda. The agenda of us being part of the rest of the world. So as a foreign minister, you have to be sophisticated. You have to be someone who's alert and understanding the issues, the global issues. Liberia is part of a global community. So you need to understand those things, not to come in and learn on the job. You have to hit the ground running as a foreign minister, not learning. I'm not going to sit there and learn from my deputy, my assistant minister for Afro-Asian affairs. That's not what, you're there to hit that ground running from day one. So it's what we're saying. We hope that the president, is listening to these things. And I think that he does listen, because what I saw a couple of days ago, or perhaps it was yesterday, that he declared his assets. That's commendable. That's tremendous. That is commendable. That is a commendable step. We never saw that with George Weah. And he can continue alone.
Joe Weah declared his assets.
We never saw that with George Weah. It's false. George Weah didn't do that. George Weah didn't walk into office and say, "Here's my asset." George Weah was broke when he took over, and George Weah stole it. That's what it was.
Mr. Jai, are you going to be here and allow this man
George Weah was excuse me.
That president, we have never declared his assets.
Excuse me. So this is what happened. And he stole the Liberian people money, and his vice president stole the Liberian people money. So that is what happened.
Thank you. Thank you, President. We actually did declare his assets.
Thank you.
Dennis, where is it? Did you see it?
Did you see it?
Are we seeing
Dennis,
you're
very
assets?
We saw him carry it to the office.
Dennis, I recommend you for
FBS.
Did you see his assets?
We saw him take it to the office. We didn't see we had take his.
You're a very good journalist, Dennis.
Listen, this is the
Gentlemen, we have concluded. We don't start any new show. Thank you so much for your time. We're going to close with our song that says, "We are all Liberians." Have a good night and God bless you.
We are Liberians.